there are two model training toolboxes. One of these toolboxes has a variety of options. However, it's limited to train a deterioration model for one structural category at a time. The other toolbox that I'm going to go over right now is it enables the possibility to batch training for multiple structural categories at the same time. So this toolbox exists in the tools in OpenIPDM. In the tools menu, we go to model training network. So by clicking on this, it will open the toolbox interface, and we can see right away that this toolbox is not asking for a .mat file. It's actually asking for the raw database and the .csv formats. So we start loading the files. We start with the structures database. Go to help demo data, raw data, and we go with the structures database. And as you see, if we are following the default database, there's going to be a pre-selection for the columns necessary for this training process. And then we move on to the next file, inspections database. We go with the elements inspections. And after that, the interventions database. And then the budget database. We have also the responsible inspectors. And finally, the elements details. So these are the main files to be loaded. After finishing the loading, we click OK. And then the interface would load all the structural categories that exist in this, as we see in this list. These are all the structural categories in the database that we have. So if we want to train the deterioration model associated with for each structure category, we have to assign a deterioration model for each category. So first we select the structural category on the left, and then we select the deterioration model. So I'm gonna go with the SSM model and then click assign. And if we click on the little arrow here, we see that SSM model right now has category 20. Now if I want to add another category, I would click on category 21 and I would click on SSMKR model and I would click assign, and I would see that category 21 is right now existing in SSMKR model. Now it has to be mentioned that I have to configure the parameters associated with each category. In order to do so, I would select the category and then click on parameters. So that would open the window for the deterioration model parameters and also the intervention model parameters. So these parameters are associated with the model used in quantifying the effect of interventions. And also here we see that there's a little menu for filtering whether we want to include a specific type of structures, such as like structures that are active right now, or if we want to include all these structures. So for this demo database, our options are basically limited in between like active, all the structures are active. So that's for the parameters for the SSM model. We click OK. And if you want to look at the parameters for the SSMKR model, we can notice that we are seeing a little bit slightly different menu, but it's really for the SSMKR deterioration model on the top and for the interventions parameters on the bottom. And we also have the choice to view the attributes, same configurations for the model training generic. And of course, we have also to set like the test set and the start here for each one of these structural categories. After adding, or we can add as many structural categories as we wish to each deterioration model, or even like if we are not, if a structural category was added by mistake, we can select it and remove it. So that's possible as well. After finishing the configurations and everything, we can train our model So we can click on train model to start the training process for the parameters of each one of these categories, and the log likelihood would be reported in this little figure. There's also the possibility to resume training from after if the training was interrupted for any reason. So all the files that would be extracted from these structural categories, because there are going to be some pre-processing and there are going to be some .mat files that would be extracted, they would be sent to the folder extracted data. So that's the role of this folder here. And from there, this toolbox is really for the purpose of the batch processing. And as you'd see, the options for the configurations of the optimization process and so on are really simplified in order to facilitate the batch processing of the structural categories on a network scale.